Hi everyone, it's Debbie from Stamp Your Journey. Wanted to bring you together today to watch a video I'm putting together on Gather Together Bundle. So let's get started. I'm going to turn you around and set you up. I actually have a new setup I'm trying. We're going to see how this goes. And I'm trying to log in on my own Facebook also to see if I can see what's going on here. Oh, maybe not. All right, so here's the set I'm using today. This is Gather Together and the Gathered Leaves dies. These are a carryover from last year, and they were a favorite, so I did love them, and I'm going to use them again. If you're looking for them, they are actually on page 47 in the seasonal catalog. All right, hoping you can hear me with my new setup. All right, so I'm using a piece of crumb cake. I had a scrap from my plaid tidings designer paper. I'm going to cut this. This is 2 inches wide, and I'm going to cut it at the length of 5.5 inches, which is the height of my card. Can you see this? Let's move this over so you can see. Just trim the end off just like that. Perfect. So this is, I think, going to go right there. It's a nice fall color. I needed some thank you notes, so I thought I would go with this. I also have a liner for inside my card, which is the standard 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm using some cherry cobbler ink, a little bit of pumpkin pie, and I might use my memento, I don't know, and some blends. These are light and dark of pumpkin pie, and this is crumb cake. So some of the pieces I wanted to use from the dies are these 3 leaves, and I had some scrap pieces of paper. So I'm going to use those. Let me bring in my big shot here. I am still playing with my new die cutting machine at home. I haven't brought it back yet. I'm having a blast with it, and I love it. But for now, I will show you what I'm doing with my older die cutting machine. So I just have, there's 3 leaves that come, and they emboss and cut at the same time. They come from this die set, so I'm using 1 of each. You know, I like to do things in odd numbers. So I just ran those through just like that. Let me move this out of the way. So these popped right out. So put those down. So here's my 3 leaves, and I will show you, get this out of the way, my well-loved plate. You all know the trick about these plates and stuff too. You can tell mine's well-loved, but it is still flat. And the trick is to flip it over. Both sides of mine are well cut. I do have it on our older magnetic plate, but if you flip them regularly, they will stay somewhat straight. So I don't know if you can see this. If I put it up close, can you see the embossing in these leaves? They're just gorgeous. Here's another one. So I did these in the 3 colors that are in my plaid tidings. So I used crushed curry, cherry cobbler, and pumpkin pie. So I have those 3 leaves ready to go. And then in this set, there are 2 pumpkins, sets of pumpkins. So I'm going to do 1 of each and die cut them out. And I'll show you later. I did some samples to show you. I am going to use my blend, so I'm going to stamp these in memento, but I'm going to show you if you're using the same color of ink as your blends, you can use the same color. So I stamped these in pumpkin pie. and used my blends. And because I was pulling the same color in, they look really great. But I'm going to show you the difference between using the Mento, and you can decide which you prefer. So I'm going to stamp this one in Memento. I'm just using my chamois. Give that a wash. And then I'm going to do my smaller pumpkins. I'll give that a wash. I do like washing my photopolymer stamps pretty quickly after I use them when I can. If you're someone who doesn't love the staining doesn't really bother me, so I'm good. I'm going to color these before I do them. So my crumb cake, and I do use the bullet end. You know, on your blends you have a bullet end and a brush tip. So the bigger, wider mark is your brush tip, which gives you a little bit bigger. I'll do one here. You can see a bigger color, and the skinnier line on the end is your bullet tip, which is a much smaller tip, and it just gives you more of a line. So I just use my bullet tip, and I'm just putting a little bit of crumb cake in each of these, just like that. Very quick. And then I'm taking my dark bullet tip end of my paper pumpkin, and I am going to start from the bottom, and I'm just kind of flicking these up. I got that word from a friend of mine, Judy, who does videos, and it's the best word to describe what I do. So I'm just, this is a little darker on this side because it's going to get a shadow, and the bottom of my pumpkin, of course, is a shadow on the bottom and a little bit at the top. And I'm just pulling, doing some flicks. I don't spend a lot of time coloring. And then this is my lighter pumpkin pie, and I'm going to blend these in. And I'm going to say my light's on the right hand side of mine, so I probably will leave a little bit of light on the side of each of these. And again, I'm just blending these in. I'm going to leave a little bit of light here, and like that. So as you can see, very quickly I'm coloring those in. Let's go to my other one. Again, my bullet tip on the bottom, just pulling a little bit of color. They're not all the same length, these little kind of flicks I'm making. Anywhere there's a shadow, I always make it darker. Just a little bit of color like that. Again, I want to leave a little bit of lighter space here, and I'm going to show you something different I'm going to do later. The seams of your pumpkins tend to be darker. So I have a little bit of light shining across the middle of my pumpkins. And here's my lighter color. And let's just blend those in, just like that. Working pretty quickly. Again, anyone who knows me, I don't always spend a lot of time fussing, unless I'm doing very special. I like them to go quick. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white right in there. And it's a little bit lighter across both my pumpkins. You can see that. And again, one nice thing I like about these die set is if you're trying to do a pumpkin patch, there's actually 2 of this die in the thing, so you can cut out quite a few at once if you're looking for the pumpkin patch effect and you need a lot of pumpkins. I'm going to bring this big shot in one more time, and because I have 2 dies, I can actually do these at the same time. I need to make this flat. There we go. So can you see? There's my group, and I tend to line my bottom up a little bit more. My edges, those are in really well. And get that one crank through. Let's move this. And those popped right out. And just this is just a habit I'm in. I tend to flip before I put it away, so the next one I don't have to think about it. I'm all done. So we've got these pieces. Now I know a lot of you, and me included, and depending upon what I'm doing, I don't like this vanilla ridge along the edge. So I'm going to show you how to hide that, whether you do it in stamped in the pumpkin or stamped in the memento to color. I did take my pumpkin pie stamp pad. I actually have a sponge and there's quite a bit left on it. If you just sponge these edges, it will tone down that vanilla so it won't be quite so stark, and you don't have to do any trimming that way if that vanilla. There are times that I do love that outline effect. I love the fact that I'm not hand cutting each of these. The other thing I want to do is, if you had left a big light space there and you thought too much vanilla was showing, you could just quickly, gently go right over that little vanilla spot right there and cover it up. And again, you can add as much or as little as you want on these. And I didn't even ink this sponge up anymore. You could if you wanted it darker. You could use a dauber. If you prefer daubers, just be careful with your daubers. You want to wipe them off a little because it tends to be a little bit heavier. Right over the top. So see how that took away that stark vanilla look? Just blend it right in. Very easy. Nice. All right, so I'm done with those two pads. Let's put this card together. This is a very quick, easy card to do. One other element that I really kind of wanted is a thank you. So in this set, I'm using the Season of Thanks for the front of my card, and may this season bring your smiles and love that will last all year. This is a great seasonal card for the fall, Thanksgiving. I may pull out a thank you set and do a few thank you cards. I'm just going to do a hand banner with this. So I took a scrap. This is a 1-inch scrap that I had in my little stash there. I keep all my stashes. And I'm just going to put a little flags on the end. So here's my Season of Thanks. Cherry cobbler. Washing that off. And then I'm also, on the inside of my card, going to ink up. You might want to use your piercing mat for color. I'm going to put my saying on the inside, but I'm going to do something else too, just because I think it might. Let's see if I can stamp this straight. I'm a writer, so I tend to leave a little room around my outside edges. There. Ooh. Sorry, hope you didn't see that, hear that. Flipped my camera around. I mean my microphone around. I'm going to stamp a little extra pumpkin. I'm going to do these in the black in the bottom of my card. Just a little, some good ink on there. In the bottom. Not going to do a ton. And this is, again, I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did on the front with my blends. A little bit of crumb cake in my stems. And my dark flicked in my bottom. Again, I'm going to shadow wherever they come together. It's usually darker. A little bit of a flick. And this one's going to be darker because it's on the front. And around the sides. And you know your seams of your pumpkins are always darker. As you can see, as I said before, I don't work quickly. I mean, I don't work dawdle. I am working pretty quickly. And I think flick these up just kind of in the same direction as the roundness of my pumpkin. And blend it all in with my lighter pumpkin, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a white spot on this one also. Blend those in. With my white spot a little bit to the right of each pumpkin. That's where my light's coming from. And again, it's kind of like scribbling. Blend that in really well. Leave a little bit of white there. Make sure I've grabbed everywhere. Gotta be a little more careful on these because I'm not cutting them out, so I'll make sure I'm not going over the edges of my pumpkin. And it's always darker in the bottom where the shadows are. Like that. And again, if you think that vanilla is a little too much, you can take your sponge. Just put a little bit on the edge of those whites. Take it right out. All right, so this looks great for the inside of my card. I'm going to go ahead and here, and again, this is why I do it on layers. When you use blends, it tends to bleed through your paper, especially if you're using a light paper. And as you saw, I was still using my fast fuse. I'm almost done. I've got, I think, one more roll left to go. Make sure your fingers are clean. I'm going to put this right across the top. Again, I pull these out of leftover scraps. They don't have to be exactly this size. If you got any strips left from your thing, I'm going to put this a little to the right, just like that. I think I'll pop these on dimensionals. So I am going to so here's what I wanted to show you. So these are my ones done in Memento, these pumpkins. That's what they look like. I'm going to scatter my leaves along here. Actually, let me do this. Just to kind of give a fall look to my card. But here's what they look like if you were to use them stamped in pumpkin pie and colored in. I think they're also just as pretty. So it's really, as long as you're using the same color ink, I find you can still use your blends. I know the general rule is we say stamp a memento so you don't drag the color. But since I was using the same color ink as my blend pens, I was okay with using them. For this particular card, I think, though, I am going to go with the mementos only because it's going to pull out this little bit of black that's in my paper. So this one I'm going to actually put down flat. I'm going to put that like right there in the center of that. My small ones, I'm going to pop these up on a dimensional, and I'm actually going to put 2 so both my edges will stay nicely. And I wanted to show you, I don't have it here. Why do I not have it here? Well, I was going to show you with my pick tool. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I must have it in another room. If you have a U-pick tool and you stab the point end, you can pull these off really quickly. I learned that from a fellow demonstrator that was a guest on my friend Judy's blog this past World Card Making Day. I popped this one on dimensionals just to give it a little bit of a lift right on the edge. I'm also going to pop my leaves up on dimensionals. Wonder what I did with my box with my... And I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to put some words on this, so I'm going to actually just lay these. I didn't plan this card. I haven't made one. Actually, you know what I am going to do? I'm going to use, if you have any mini dimensionals, if any of you love these, I love having both sizes. There's no cutting and trimming most of the time, but you can just cut your bigger dimensionals. I'm going to put these mini ones just to give it a good pop. Pull these off just like that. This one, I think I'll just put it like that, falling down, and I'm going to use some more. Which way do I want that side up? And could have used a big one or a small one, whatever you've got. Use your big ones, use your minis, cut them up, use all of it. Don't waste any, because they do like that. All right, I want one more thing. I want my season of thanks. So I'm actually just going to, you could use a punch for this. I'm actually going to cut this off. My edge is a little bit crooked. It's a little jagged there. So you can either cut it or freehand. I know some people don't like to freehand anything, so I will show you. I am going to put this right up against the edge and just cut a nice straight line on there. I'm good with that. And then a quick, fast way to make a tag. I might cut this down just a little bit more on each side. Is to cut right up the center, and then if you go from each point to that cut, you've got a great, straighten that out a little bit, great little banner, fast and quick. We do have punches that make awesome ends of banners. I love them. I use them. I have them. But when you want to do something quickly, you can get that scrap off. And I think I'm just gonna, I might even trim this. Do I want to trim it up more? No, I think I'll leave it where it is. And then put a couple of dimensionals on that. So again, most of this came right out of my scrap bag. I think I'm gonna put this maybe right there, just like that. Season of thanks, quick, out of my scrap bag, season of thanks card. Got great embossing on those leaves, all in one shot through the die cut machine. It cut and embossed them all at once, made it a very quick, and my colors inside. I think it came out great. And again, I used the Gathered Together bundle, which has the Gathered Leaves dies and the Gathered Together stamp set in it. And this is on page 47 in the seasonal catalog. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, don't feel free to share it. Share it on your Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube also. I have to get those posted up. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Have a great day.